Hi, everyone. Welcome to Soulprint. Thank you very, very much for being here. Thank you for all of the healing thoughts and good wishes and Reiki that's being sent to me in my finger. It hurts, but it's getting better. Look at it. I'm down to sort of a Band-Aid. So we're doing fine. Thank you very much for that. Also, welcome to my new subscribers. Thank you so very, very much. And of course, for my established ones, not only do I adore you, but I'm very grateful for your ongoing support and contribution to the channel. It means a very, very great deal. All right. So I was just sort of hanging out, and I said, geez, the politics in the United States and Canada, it's really getting a little crazy. And Spirit said, it's going to get ugly. I thought, okay, well, I guess I should sit my butt down and find out what the heck. So we're going to touch on both countries. I'm going to start with the United States. So apparently Trump has signed an executive order overhauling the elections. Okay, that's not going to fly. They're talking about getting rid of the federal courts because, they just don't like what they're saying about what Trump and his administration is doing. So they're really, really pushing the envelope like out of the galaxy. They're pushing it that hard. So it's going to be interesting to see, one, how the courts respond to this, particularly the Supreme Court. I did notice that there was another lawsuit that worked its way up to the Supreme Court about, um, about being able to sue journalists if they said mean things about you, basically. And the Supreme Court said, no, that decision's already been made. And as long as it's not, like wrong and they know it's wrong, they can pretty much say what they want. So that's a good thing, at least, right? And maybe that will help some of the networks or newspapers or media outlets to stop being afraid of their own shadow, because they need to. This is the thing. There are amazing protests going from literally from one end of the United States to the other. And those protests are truly being supported globally. But even so, energetically, there are still a lot of people who think that this Doge is brilliant. And it's those people who aren't paying attention, or it hasn't directly impacted them or someone they love. And so they think that what is actually going on is this investigation into fraud versus wholesale chainsaw desecration of the entire system. So, Spirit, give me a heads up. And I am very mindful of the fact that towards the end of March, we've got that solar eclipse on the 29th, which apparently is going to shake stuff up pretty good. And into April, things are going to be really chaotic. They certainly have been so far, haven't they? I mean, you've got that leak to the journalist guy, and then this morning, I'm recording this on Thursday, they released even more stuff. There's, a committee that has come together, and they're investigating and saying, what the hell is going on? But what is so annoying or alarming, I think, is the fact that the administration is doing this with complete impunity. Like, they think that they did nothing wrong and it wasn't top secret. And so, like, what is the problem? Don't, get in our way. That kind of attitude ultimately is going to bring that administration down. So right now, what I'm picking up is that if you thought the last couple of days were bad, buckle up, because from now through the end of this month and into the end of the first week of April, it's going to be like hair raising, the stuff that is getting released. And it's really going to point to the complete ineptness of the people who are in office. I mean, for God's sakes, you've got, who is that? Like, the guy that's head of security, that national security, that Hedgeslith or whatever the hell his name is. He used to be a host on Fox Morning Show. Well, how does that even make sense that he is now in this position of amazing power? And it's not only power, but he has access to so much stuff. And apparently seems to be pretty cavalier about it. So, Spirit, what are we looking at as we move forward here? So, the protests are going to continue, and they're going to become bigger and louder. By and large, if there is any violence or inappropriate behavior going on, it's being triggered by, um, sort of bad actors that are being immersed into the crowds to cause the trouble. So that you can anticipate those protests getting bigger, the town halls getting bigger. Apparently, there was a town hall that Bernie Sanders, I guess, in AOC did, and I'm sorry, I don't remember where, but like in the last 2 days, there's like 10,000 people there. So slowly but surely, it's starting to get through. Yes, there are still pockets of people who are not paying attention, who, are, this is the thing, what I have always said, listen, you can't pick on people. Life is busy, life is hectic. You know, some of us have a whole lot of time on our hands, and so we pay more attention to it. But there's people out there trying to live their lives and, keep their job and get food on the table. And they're not paying as much attention as they should be. But there comes a point where you need to focus in, because all of these people running around saying, I elected him because he was going to lower my grocery prices. All that does is say that you didn't listen to anything after that first sentence. And yet you have the power to go into, a booth and vote. That's concerning. And I think that that's going to be, thank you, one of the big shifts and changes that you're going to see, particularly over the next 12 to 18 months. Is that more and more people who were not paying attention are going to start paying attention. And frankly, they're going to become more and more horrified. They are now telling me, and this is interesting because for a while I didn't think it was going to happen, but they are saying to stop being concerned about a midterm election. It will happen. And by then, something's going to go on that is going to, I almost want to say, interfere with election interference. Okay. So I'm not sure, and I'm not exactly convinced it's coming out of the United States either. Because, as of right now, everybody's on board with rigging the election because it got them into office. But they're saying, don't worry about it. What is happening is the crowds and the momentum, and honestly, the upset over the way things are being done and the way things are being handled is gaining momentum. And it's not the lower vibration that is building up. It is the powerful higher vibrations of, we cannot allow this to happen to our fellow citizens. We cannot tolerate this as a country. We cannot let this be the image and the impression that the rest of the world now has on the United States. So I understand that what is going on right now is working. But for right now, you're going to see a great deal of pushback coming from the administration, from Republicans writ large. A couple of them have actually started to open their mouths and say, listen, that security thing, that was bad. Right? Well, yeah, like all the rest of it isn't bad, right? But anyways, so buckle up. It's going to be a little bit bumpy, but overall, generally speaking, it's working. The momentum is building. People who were not paying attention are starting to pay attention. They're starting to recognize that there are things going on politically that are just simply not acceptable. Okay. I mean, that's just the bottom line here. And so, yes, they're going to keep trying to attack, whether it is Social Security or Medicaid or Department of Education, for God's sakes. But what I'm saying is that those attacks are hitting walls of resistance. And surprisingly, some of those walls are actually coming from the courts who are saying a step way too far. No, pull back. You're not doing that. So for people of the United States and for people who are concerned, it's important that you continue to be engaged, you continue to make those phone calls, you continue to attend rallies, whatever it is you're able to do, understand that it's picking up momentum, and that momentum becomes incredibly, incredibly powerful. So even though things are going to get a little scary for the next, 10 days or so, hang in there, take some deep breaths, and know that this too shall pass. Now, I saw something the other day. This is my segue into Canada. I saw something the other day, and basically, 45 said he almost single-handedly has handed the Canadian election to the Liberals. And you know what? He's not that far wrong. Okay, maybe not single-handedly, but his behavior connecting to the tariffs and this absolute insanity about the whole 51st state thing. What that did was it created an environment where the sovereignty of Canada and the strength of Canada has become paramount in the minds of the vast number of Canadians, like 70% or something of Canadians are considering this the number one election concern. And we're like just over a month away from the election. So, again, more and more people wake up, they start paying attention, they start figuring out what's going on. What has happened was Poilievre was looking, like a good, strong sort of leader who was going to sort of correct the excess, if you will, of the Liberal government. Well, except what happened now is that the crazier and the more insane is 45's behavior, the more it is rubbing off on Poilievre and the Conservative Party, because they're saying, listen up, you guys, and Poilievre in particular, he really likes 45. He thinks he's brilliant. So people are going, we're watching quietly and maybe not so quietly what's going on with our southern neighbor, and it's not going to fly. Again, the made in Canada, the buy only Canadian, I said it before, it is becoming so granular. It's not just, should I buy this product versus that product? Like who makes what pasta? It is down to dog food and deodorant, and people have just put their foot down and said, that is enough. And if this is how we are able to push back and fight back, that's exactly what we're going to do. And that message is getting reinforced by the Liberals, who, as of today, if the election was today, apparently are beating the Conservatives by 8 points. That's huge, because literally a couple of months ago, they had 20% support. So they've obliterated whatever lead the Conservative Party had, and they've now gained, and their momentum continues to grow. I'm not yet ready to predict who is going to win the election. Certainly right now, it very much looks like the Liberals are going to be carrying the momentum. I'll put it that way. So there's some things. So what you're going to see now for Canadians is you're going to start seeing some, I sort of states, United States type of behavior coming through the elections, okay? And I'm not saying that Canadian elections were all sugar and spice, because they weren't. But there is a degree of viciousness that was sort of embraced in the States when it came to, elections and what you're going to say about, your opponent. And that energy, that attitude is going to start becoming very, very apparent. So this is what's going on kind of right now. Apparently, and I don't know this because I haven't double checked, but apparently Mark Carney, who has an amazing sort of history of, he has no political experience, but he has a great deal of financial experience and banking experience. And not a local bank. We're talking about sort of the Bank of Canada. You know what I mean? He had something to do with the Bank of England, I think. So this is a very well-versed man, and he understands the economy, and he understands the ebb and flow, and he is not foolish, and he's going to capitalize on the disappointment and the anger, and to some degree, even the horror that Canadians are feeling based on what's going on south of us. But apparently, he has a company, or is part of a company that sells or provides a significant amount of coal to China. Okay, so in this little part of the world where we're very concerned about the environment, etc., that's sort of like a black mark, right? I mean, we don't want to know that he is profiting from something that we perceive as directly impacting the health of the planet. Fair enough. Polyev, on the other hand, refuses to get a security check. He will not get security clearance. Think about that for a moment, shall we? You want to be the most powerful politician in Canada, and you will not submit to a basic security clearance check? What's going on there? And so that's the black mark against him. So do not be surprised if you start to see this kind of more aggressive, mean, vicious sort of behavior coming out of both political parties. Unfortunately, the NDP have lost a tremendous amount of support. In fact, it's the support that's bleeding from the NDPs and the Quebecois, the Quebec party. It is that support that is draining from those two parties and funneling into the Liberal Party. So as of right now, the Conservatives are not gaining, I guess is how I want to say it. But what Spirit is saying is that the election is going to get a little bit, okay, it's going to get really ugly. That's what they said. And of course, don't forget that all of the ridings in Canada are having their own federal elections going on, and people are voting for the party within their riding that they want ultimately to lead the government. So it just is a time where what used to work doesn't work. It's not working anymore. But throwing out not only the baby in the bathwater, but the bathtub and a couple of towels and some baby powder isn't the solution. And that's what we see going on. And it would not be surprising if sort of the rhetoric in the Canadian election did not really, really ramp up. So kind of be prepared for that. But again, Do not panic, right? Support who you want to support. Get involved. I mean, I've been nagging at the poor people in the States to get involved for like months now. Well, okay, longer than that. It's time now to start nagging the Canadians, okay? We need to get involved. We need to start making our phone calls. We need to start reaching out to the political parties, to the campaign offices, and say, what can we do? How can we help? How can I contribute? Whatever it is that we're able to do. And just a very quick note on Danielle Smith, who is, the premier here in Alberta. So this is the thing. She's right now she's under fire because she's preparing to go south to attend or have a meeting with or a conversation with somebody who is extremely right wing. It's not sitting well, okay? I mean, there's a very big difference between being right wing and being conservative. And I think in Canada, that distinction is I almost want to say a little bit more clear. The Conservative Party has not completely swallowed the right wing attitudes, ideas, and ideologies. So she's under fire. But what she's even more under fire for is this. Apparently, during a meeting that she had, I guess at Mar-a-Lago with Trump, she basically said to him, listen, slow down on the whole tariff thing. Do not implement those tariffs on the 2nd, because you're going to make it much more difficult for Poilievre and his party, the Conservative Party, to win the federal election. And the next flickering words out of her mouth was, that wasn't interference. That wasn't election interference. What do you call that? So even within the Conservative Party, people are saying, whoa, that's a step too far. And I think that may be something that helps, if you will. The people of Canada sort of maintaining a bit more of a political balance. But certainly as of right now, the Liberals are ahead. And honestly, based on what happens when you see conservative politicians grabbing power, it's a good thing that the Liberals right now are holding and hopefully will continue to build that momentum going forward. So for both countries and for those, around the globe, be mindful. It's going to get a little bumpy and it's going to get a little scary and it's going to be worrying. Try your level best to step back from it, do what you can, not only to feel like you're doing something to move I guess, the political situation forward, but make sure you're doing things that keep you healthy and keep you strong, because we all know that getting upset and getting anxious doesn't help. And listen up. I get being anxious about the potential of losing benefits and not knowing if you're actually going to have the money you need to make that next payment of whatever kind. But when you start doing something proactive to push back against that, as opposed to just standing in the fear and the anxiety, things tend to work out a bit better. If nothing else, you're surrounding yourself with a stronger, more powerful, positive energy. Do not forget, like last week, I think, week before, whatever it was, I released that meditation video. Golly, I wish I could remember what I called it. Shining the light, bringing the light, something. That can be done multiple times. It wasn't country specific. It wasn't politician specific. So for those of you who are interested in that, take a peek, look it up, and see if that's something that you might want to incorporate into your schedule once or twice a week. All right. Questions and comments? Questions in the comment section below. I read all of your comments. Thank you very, very much. Take care of yourself. It's going to get a little nutty, okay? And so when that happens, we all need to support and depend on each other, because when it comes right down to it, that's what we have, is each other. All right. Take care and be well. I will see you tomorrow for Pendulum Friday. Bye for now.